Mr. Higgins, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Ale, thank you for your service. I'd like to follow up on what my colleague asked. Why does it take a year to figure out what everyone in this room knows is already an accurate conclusion? A veteran should be able to get a transplant in his own home state. This is just common sense. This is the type of thing that we're tired of. This is the kind of thing that veterans from sea to shining sea come to a veteran like me as a representative and they say, Cap, why don't they get it in D.C.? So please tell us, why does it take a year to figure out what this distinguished surgeon has come to the conclusion of already, and I imagine the other doctors on this subcommittee? Why a year?
Again, a very valid concern. As you know, the VA delivers some of the best outcomes in quality care. And in order to ensure that our veterans are getting the highest quality of care, we're going to be doing an analysis of all the services that should be provided inside the VA versus...
And what does that cost? Because we've just arrived at that conclusion, it costs nothing.
And Congressman, it's not just for transplant services that we're looking at hundreds of different types of specialties and services, and at the same time looking at veteran demand. We're looking at reliance. We're looking at what the highest performing providers are in the network. Depending on where our veterans get care is directly correlated with the outcomes for our veterans. And we want to make sure our veterans are getting the best possible care.
Thank you for your patient response, ma'am. Please understand my passion is strictly reflective of my love.
We're on the same side. For
our veterans. All of us, in one way or another, continue to serve our country. I thank the veteran service organizations present. Been very helpful to my office, in particular. Matthew Schuman, the director, has been very interactive with my office and help us as we move forward. And talking about the budget, as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, we recognize sacrifice for our country. And please let us note that the VA and the VHA has received a significant increase in funding despite the fact that our nation faces a $20 trillion debt. That's the people's treasure that we must protect. And despite that we exist in an era where we face such a danger to the future of our country, the VA and VHA has received a significant increase in budget, which I believe is reflective of the spirit of this subcommittee and the VA committee as a whole, and of our President and of this body from both sides of the aisle. So my question, ma'am, if I may jump into veterans' homelessness. The VA and many local and state governments have made tremendous strides in reducing the rate of veteran homelessness. However, nearly 40,000 veterans and their families still face homelessness. The 2018 budget requests $1.7 billion to assist homeless veterans and prevent at-risk veterans from becoming homeless, in part by building a capacity of available residential, rehabilitative, transition, and permanent housing supply. And the VA has a program called the VA Enhanced Use Lease Program. Occurs to me to be a very wise investment of the people's treasure. Can you please provide information to this subcommittee regarding appropriate properties that the VA could utilize for job training, medical services, transitional housing, for our homeless veterans and their families, please?
Yes, we will.
I would like those properties identified. If you could provide that to the subcommittee, I would appreciate it. In my remaining 40 seconds regarding caregivers, under the Program for Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, 24,555 primary family caregivers were approved in 2016. 33,345 in 2017, and expected 37,100 caregivers for 2018. This is significantly higher numbers than were expected when the program was initially established. Has the VA begun working to ensure that the Caregivers Program can continue to provide services and stipends to the veterans and caregivers most in need? And can you lay out how the program has and will change to ensure its longevity? It's a crucial program for our veterans.
Yes. I mean, the caregiver program is a very important fabric of how we keep our veterans at home, independent and autonomous. So we support the program. We're working on redesigning the program so that we can also offer it to the pre-9/11, the most vulnerable veterans who need it. But in the meantime, we have a whole compendium of services that we can use to help support our veterans so that they stay at home. Our home-based primary care and respite program, lots of different other entities are.
I applaud your answer, ma'am, and I thank you particularly for mentioning pre-9/11 veterans. Mr. Chairman, I apologize for going over time. I yield back.